Well, we're in the town of Frisia. I'm in the poor section of town, where there's all sorts of creepy people that you do not want to mess with. There's someone who locks the door. By the way, we're going to have to be breaking that door down once we get the confirmation. I don't remember if I explored properly the last video, so I might be doing some repeats in this, but oh well. Yes, mothers are always worrying about someone being kidnapped or wounded. Yeah, is that blue hair natural? What is it with JRPGs and people having weird, unnaturally colored hair? It only seems to be in JRPGs. You don't see people with like blue or green hair in like Dragon Age or Elder Scrolls or Fallout. But you see it all the time in, you know, Final Fantasy. Not sure about Persona or Shin Megami Tensei. I've only recently picked up Shin Megami Tensei, some Devil Survivor, something or other. It was a digital purchase for the PS2. It's a I've always heard good things about it, but well, the first Persona game just has no interest for me whatsoever. It looks well, it's first person. I'm not exactly a fan of first person in my JRPGs unless it's something like a dungeon crawler. And even then, that dungeon crawler better have a really good map. I grew up with D&D dungeon crawlers and had a love-hate relationship with them. The immediate example I can think of is Dungeon Hack. Dungeon Hack is a dungeon crawler based off the Dungeons and Dragons tabletop games. And I will tell you right now that roles for tabletop gaming and roles for video games don't mix very well. I did not D&D when I was a kid. I only recently got into D&D, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But, well, in tabletop gaming, there's different factors that, come into effect when, you attack. You swing your weapon, and depending on your stats, your enemy's stats, and the number you roll on your dice is going to depend on whether or not you hit or miss. And frankly, you're probably going to be missing a lot. It just sort of comes with the territory. Where do I leave? But yeah, you're going to be missing a lot of your hits when you're swinging your weapon in tabletop gaming. Well, in video games that are D&D based, like the dungeon crawlers I remember back when I was a kid, they took the tabletop rules. So I was very pissed off, confused, and frustrated when, you know, I'm playing a Dungeons and Dragons video game, like a dungeon crawler, and I keep swinging my weapon and missing. I just constantly miss. And, you know, I didn't understand why. I didn't realize that it was because every time I swung, I had it factored in an invisible dice roll, and depending on whatever the dice happened to be, the enemy's evasion stat and my stat, which, whatever it happened to be, will depend on whether or not I hit. That don't work well for video games. Pretty much in a video game, when you swing, you better be guaranteed to fucking hit. Especially in a first-person video game. You swing, you better be guaranteed to fucking hit. Maybe not do a lot of damage, but hit nonetheless. And, ooh boy, back in the early to mid-90s, that didn't happen. Excuse me. Anyways, nowadays, the D&D games and dungeon crawling games in general learned their lesson. RPGs have gotten easier, though with JRPGs there's still a chance you'll miss, but that's not exactly first person, that's turn-based combat, so it's not quite as frustrating when you hit. You just assume you have to level up more. But in Western RPGs, dungeon crawlers, first-person RPGs like Elder Scrolls, third-person RPGs, you swing, you better fucking hit. And back in the day, that was, just not guaranteed to happen. Okay, laborers, in case you couldn't tell, happen to be, slaves, that's a kidnap. I guess the game's trying to get a little political or a little moral. Slavery is bad. You wouldn't kidnap natives to, be, as slave labor, but, well, you know, you'd think in this, modern day, well, not modern day age, but relatively modern day age, there won't be some sort of slave trade, but they have it. I don't know specifically what point in history this game is trying to be. You know what, I might be wrong. This might be during the time after, couple generations after Christopher Columbus. There are still kings, apparently, kings and queens. So yeah, I guess there will be some sort of slave labor and peasant labor and, you know, kidnapping natives who are known to be savages, and, yes, I know, I'm being politically incorrect. We shouldn't call them savages, and that's the way, by the way, that loon sound is my phone going off, but I'm calling them savages because that's what they'd be, referred to during this particular time in history, and selling them as a, slave trade. As a cheap labor force. Okay, wasn't I supposed to, find out something? Find out where to, where it is I'm supposed to go? I haven't been recording that long, so I don't want to end the video immediately. Well, of course tourists have been avoiding the town. You have a fucking slave trade here. You know, when you're kidnapping savages, and I know I'm being politically incorrect, just fucking deal with it. But when you're kidnapping natives, whether they be local natives or natives from like a different continent or a different different part of the land, you know, your town's kind of going to get a bad reputation. People don't necessarily like living in or being around slave labor. It's even when it's accepted during that point in history, it doesn't necessarily make for pleasant company. So, you know, it's why plantation owners had a separate area for their slaves. And the slaves who worked inside the home or the mansion were dressed up and more called servants. You know, they're brought from Asia. Well, I don't think Asians have green hair, but what do I know? Was it Asia? Yeah, from far off Asia. Hunting crab, hunting for food. Animals falling to an unknown disease. They saw themselves into laborers. Well, I guess that's, still unpleasant, you know, maybe they're not slaves per se, but just really, really, really poor people selling themselves for cheap labor for nothing more than a shitty bed to sleep in and guaranteed food. Believe me, that's not pleasant when you do that, but I certainly understand the feeling. I've worked a lot of shithole jobs in my life. My last real job was, if you want to call it a real job, was pretty much an illegal job. I was being paid a pathetic amount under the table for I don't even want to call it a restaurant. It was a place that served shitty, greasy food to drunk people. The owner was, well, famous for being an alcoholic, and I'll tell you right now, he wasn't a true alcoholic, he was just a cheap, pathetic drunk who will waste in, like, the restaurant I'm referring to, if you've ever been to Peterborough, it's called City Lights. City Lights shut down ages ago because the owner, who, you know what, fuck it, I am not going to keep his name secret. The owner's name is John. Everybody in Peterborough knows the infamous legend that is John. He's a fucking idiot that everybody knows. And yeah, how do I find out where it is I'm supposed to go? I knew all along. Well, son of a bitch, don't I feel all fucking, you know, I guess I just didn't realize I was too busy talking and not reading the text. Oops, silly me. I burped once again, excuse me. I don't know what it is with me burping so much whenever I do these videos. Maybe it's because I'm talking so much and I'm swallowing air when I talk, and that's why I'm gassed. People just simply tend not to talk much. So, yeah, maybe that's the reason I keep burping whenever I'm doing these videos. It's because I just don't know how to talk without swallowing air, or at least talk for long periods of time without swallowing air. It's you know, it's a little annoying, a little embarrassing to be honest with you, but well, it's not going to stop me. I'm just going to have to learn to deal with it and figure out a way to speak more properly. It's not as if I'm a good speaker to begin with. I know my voice is about as pleasant to listen to as a nails on a chalkboard, but, well, you know, it hasn't stopped me anyways from talking. I guess, I don't like the way my voice sounds. Like, I know when people talk, the voice they hear and the voice other people hear is completely different, and I think that's because, you know, when you're speaking through your mouth and listening to your ears, maybe there's some sort of difference in the, you know, maybe it echoes in your, or echoes, or gives a better sounding voice because of it coming out, bouncing around, echoing in your mouth or whatever, or echoing in your head or whatever, but the voice I hear when I speak is a hell of a lot more pleasant sounding than the voice that other people hear when I speak. Like, I know I speak with somewhat of a lisp. That's because when I was a kid, I was deaf growing as a child when I was in my infancy. During the time of a child's developmental speech years, when they're learning to speak, my parents didn't realize that I was deaf. They just thought I was ignoring them. The way they found out I was deaf, I think anyways, was a really loud bang happened when I was deaf. I don't know how deaf I was, by the way. I was like 2, 3 years old, so, you know, no really good memories of it. Long time ago. I'm expected not to remember, but, yeah, anyways, during this time, I was, guess simply when, you know, kids are expected to be, very gabby and speaking in gibberish, I was not speaking very well in gibberish, or speaking incoherently. I don't know. Anyways, I wasn't speaking in a way that a kid who my age was expected to be speaking. And I wasn't responding to people, to noise. People, my parents telling me what to do and not to do in a way that I should have been. My parents just thought that I was misbehaving, that I was ignoring them until they realized that, you know, some big scary sound happened and I just completely ignored it. It didn't startle me when it frankly should have startled me. And that's when they realized, oh shit, maybe he's deaf, and they took me to a doctor. They realized that I had water in the ears, and I don't know specifically what they mean by water in the ears, but pretty much, like, you know, you hear someone say they have water in the ears. By the way, I am going to finish my thought and then go save my game back in town. But anyways, when you hear that someone has water in the ears, you tend to think that it's, you know, something that can just, you know, tilt your head, use a Q-tip, and it can be drained. No, this was water, like, inside my ears, in my skull, that needed to be surgically removed. So, you know, it really fucked up my speech therapy and made it so that when I was pretty much evolutionarily behind people my own age when it came to being able to speak and understand people. Yes, I'm going back to town. Anyways, it was honestly so bad that when I went into the first grade in the public school, I was put in the special eds class, which my parents did not like, and that's possibly one of the reasons they sent me to that fucking Christian private school. And in the Christian private school, I was so behind developmentally that I failed grade 1. Yeah, that's insulting. Anyway, something clicked. I managed to go back and not just complete grade 1, but I was top of my class when I came back for the second year. But anyways, that's a story for another time.